opens with the first king of Aurea leading his knights on a mission to slay a monstrous dragon. They make their way into the dragon's cave, but the beast quickly overpowers them. One by one, the knights fall, leaving the king at the mercy of the fearsome creature. The scene then jumps ahead several centuries, showing a struggling kingdom surrounded by harsh, barren lands. The two princesses, Elodie and Floria, work tirelessly to help their people, gathering firewood and supplies to support everyone. One day, a priestess arrives with a marriage proposal for the elder princess, Elodie. Queen Isabel of Aurea is searching for a suitable bride for her son, Prince Henry. Elodie's father, Lord Bayford, is thrilled with the proposal and encourages his daughter to accept it. Though Elodie is hesitant at first, she eventually agrees for the sake of her people. The very next day, the family of four sets out for the Aurea kingdom to discuss the marriage further. After several hours of travel, they finally reach their destination. They are immediately struck by the beauty of the kingdom. The castle is surrounded by breathtaking greenery. Upon arrival, a palace guard welcomes them and leads them to their rooms, asking them to wait while the royal family finishes their prayers. While waiting in her lavish room, Elodie notices another woman on the balcony, and the two share a simple, friendly smile. The next morning, Elodie is introduced to Queen Isabel and Prince Henry. After brief introductions, the Queen and Lord Bayford step away for a private discussion, leaving Elodie and Henry alone to get acquainted. Elodie starts the conversation, asking if he's happy with the marriage, and he confirms that he is. When he asks about her, she honestly explains that she agreed for the sake of her kingdom's people. As they continue talking, they quickly bond over shared interests, like their love for traveling. They soon take a horse ride, during which Henry shows her some of the kingdom's most beautiful scenery. Meanwhile, after his private meeting, Lord Bayford walks out with a tense expression. Lady Bayford notices and asks if everything is okay, but he chooses to keep his thoughts to himself. Lady Bayford tries to befriend Queen Isabel, but the Queen responds rudely, leaving her upset and uneasy. That night, Lady Bayford visits Elodie's room, urging her to reconsider the marriage. She warns that something is off about the Aurea family and that they may not be trustworthy. Despite her stepmother's concerns, Elodie sees Henry as kind and refuses to listen. The very next day, the wedding takes place, and Queen Isabel formally welcomes Elodie as the new princess of the kingdom. After the ceremony, the newlyweds travel to the top of a mountain to perform an ancient ritual, which Henry explains is meant to honor their ancestors. When they arrive, Elodie sees the queen dressed as a red priestess. She gives Elodie a coin and guides the couple to the altar, then begins recounting the story of how the kingdom of Aurea was founded. She explains that when their ancestors first arrived, they discovered that a monstrous creature also inhabited the land. The creature, driven by savage bloodlust, destroyed the entire village. The king gathered his soldiers to fight back, but they were no match for the beast. As a result, the king was forced to sacrifice his 3 daughters to bring peace to the kingdom. Since then, this ritual has been performed to ensure the safety and well-being of the land. Isabel then cuts the palms of the newlyweds and holds their hands together, officially declaring Elodie as royal blood. To complete the ceremony, Elodie throws the coin into the chasm. Henry then carries her in bridal style, walking along the narrow path, but suddenly, he throws her down the chasm. She tumbles through several tree branches before finally landing on the ground. After some time, she regains consciousness and finds herself in a deep, dark cave. Inside, she notices jewelry and clothing belonging to other princesses and realizes that she, too, has been sacrificed like them. Shortly after, she hears a fluttering sound nearby and follows it. She discovers a small bird caught in flames and carefully helps it. At that moment, a huge flock of fiery birds flies overhead, and she comes face to face with the monstrous dragon. The beast senses the scent of royal blood coming from Elodie, and she realizes it's mixed with Henry's blood. The dragon then unleashes its fire toward her, forcing her to run desperately for her life. During her escape, she comes across the body of the woman she had exchanged smiles with earlier, realizing that she, too, was a victim. Elodie has no time to dwell on this and continues running deeper into the cave. She narrowly avoids the dragon's flames by climbing into a small hole, though she burns her leg in the process. Despite the intense pain, Elodie wraps her wound with a piece of cloth and uses an accessory as a makeshift light to guide her way. Crawling through a narrow path, she enters a glowing cave filled with luminescent slugs. She moves cautiously but is stopped by a deep pit in her path. Summoning her courage, Elodie takes a long leap to the other side. She makes it across, but the tilted, slippery surface causes her to begin sliding. Luckily, an accessory from her dress catches on the rocks, preventing her from falling. Using a sharp object from her corset, she climbs back up. Elodie then collects a handful of the glowing slugs to use as a light source, allowing her to continue deeper into the cave. Elodie soon comes across a puddle of water and tries to drink, only to find it dirty. To quench her thirst, she begins catching droplets of water falling from the ice shards above. Suddenly, the ice starts melting faster as the fiery dragon appears. Realizing the danger, Elodie immediately flees, narrowly avoiding the dragon's flames. She keeps running until she reaches a chamber marked with a note reading, "Safe here, she cannot reach." Inside, she sees the names of several other women who were sacrificed before her. Exhausted from her ordeal, Elodie eventually falls asleep. When Elodie wakes up, she panics upon seeing the glowing slugs attached to her leg wound. She quickly removes them, only to discover that her wound has miraculously healed. She realizes that the slugs have healing powers. Afterward, she notices a map carved into the wall. Studying it carefully, she sets off along the path it shows and arrives at a vertical tunnel made of crystals. Along the way, she finds a crown belonging to another princess and realizes that she likely used the same route. Confident that she's close to the exit, Elodie climbs through the crystal tunnel and reaches an opening. But her joy is short-lived. The opening leads to a dead end, overlooking a steep vertical drop on the mountainside. Overwhelmed, Elodie breaks down in tears, thinking her end has come. But then she spots people in the distance, giving her a glimmer of hope. She screams at the top of her lungs to get their attention, but instead, it draws the dragon toward her. Just as the monster prepares to attack, they hear voices shouting Elodie's name. Following the voices, she stumbles upon a grim sight, the remains of 3 baby dragons. It's then that she realizes Queen Isabel's story was a lie. The first king had mercilessly killed the young dragons for no reason, and the mother dragon sought revenge. Elodie continues toward the voices and finally sees her father, along with some of his men, who have come to rescue her. Before Elodie can reach him, the rescue party is ambushed by the dragon. One by one, they are killed before the beast finally departs. Elodie rushes to her dying father, who apologizes for his earlier decisions. With his last breath, he tells her about the way out and the ship where her stepmother and Floria are waiting. Devastated by her father's death, Elodie knows she can't waste any time. She uses a rope to climb toward the mountain's exit. The dragon spots her and charges, breathing fire, but she narrowly escapes and finally makes it out. Once free, she grabs one of the rescue party's horses and rides away from the mountain, determined to continue her journey and reunite with her loved ones. As the dragon continues to pursue her, Elodie abandons the horse and hides under a rock. Frustrated by her escape, the dragon unleashes its fury, setting fire to the surrounding area. From the palace, Isabel notices the chaos and realizes that Elodie's sacrifice has failed. In retaliation, she goes to Bayford's ship and captures Floria, intending to use her as a replacement. When Lady Bayford tries to intervene, the Queen's henchmen stab her, leaving her gravely wounded. Despite her severe injuries, Lady Bayford somehow makes her way toward the mountain. When she meets Elodie, she reveals everything that happened on the ship. Enraged, Elodie resolves to rescue her sister and take revenge. Meanwhile, at the altar, Isabel demands her son's hand to merge her blood with Floria's, but the prince refuses, insisting that Floria is just a child. Undeterred, the ruthless queen cuts her own hand, mixes it with Floria's, and then throws the girl into the chasm. By the time Elodie arrives, it's too late, her sister is gone. Determined to save her, Elodie bravely decides to rescue Floria at any cost. She uses a rope to descend to the chasm and sets up a booby trap to distract the dragon. Elodie makes her way toward the spot where she saw the remains of the baby dragons earlier, grabbing her father's sword along the way. When she arrives, she triggers the trap, creating a loud clanging sound that draws the dragon's attention. Using the distraction, she rushes to reach her sister. But before they can escape, they hear the dragon returning. With nowhere else to run, Elodie tells her sister to hide while she bravely decides to confront the beast herself. Facing the dragon, Elodie tries to explain the truth. The girls it had been killing weren't the daughters of Aurea, but random children from another kingdom. The dragon doesn't believe her and attacks. During the fierce battle, Elodie manages to stab the dragon in the eyes and injure one of its limbs. Thinking quickly, she devises a plan for a final strike. She positions herself in front of a C-shaped wall and provokes the dragon to release its fire. As the flames hit the wall, they bounce back, ultimately injuring the beast. With the dragon defeated, Elodie shows a cut on her palm and explains how these marks signify royal blood. Finally, the dragon realizes it has been deceived and asks for its suffering to end. But Elodie, unlike Isabel, isn't cruel and refuses to harm the creature. Instead, she uses the glowing slugs to heal its wounds. Afterward, Elodie returns to the palace to interrupt the third wedding, determined to stop the evil royals from sacrificing yet another innocent woman. After exposing the Aureans' treachery, Elodie warns the new bride and her family to escape immediately. Shortly after, the dragon appears and sets the entire palace ablaze, destroying it along with all the Aurean royals and nobles inside. The movie ends with Elodie, Floria, and Lady Bayford sailing back home, carrying supplies and accompanied by the dragon. And that wraps up our recap. What can we learn from this story? If we treat others poorly and act with cruelty, it will eventually come back to us.